Well, we put together a good week this week, a 4-1 week. You really don't want to have anything less than a 3-2 week as you go week by week. But I thought our guys did a good job getting back from Troy um, and then getting ready for two midweek games, being able to get the win on Tuesday and then turn around and get back on the bus and go get a road win on Wednesday and then get back. We had to practice indoor Thursday with some rain. Friday didn't play well. Got off to a poor start. Didn't set a good tempo. They got all their runs in 2 innings. And then, Cox came in, did a great job of turning the momentum of the game around. And then from there, we let it get away again later in the game. And that did us in. So, but I was real glad the guys bounced back and came back after the doubleheader. We got 2 good starting performances, swung the bat well, and then got a rare day off of rest on Sunday, which I thought was good for them. Especially now that we've got a good Tech team coming in and a good McNeese team, and then a good South Alabama team, another 5-game week. So very rarely do you get Sunday off with us, but we were able to get Sunday off to heal up a little bit, and we picked LaHare back up. So that's real good for us. It gives us, another option. Because when all the guys were down injured, we didn't have a lot of options. But now you pick up another option with Danny. Plus, Danny's an energy guy. He's also one of our tougher guys, and so it's good to know that we picked him back up. So they'll go through their normal procedure today that they do on Mondays, and then we'll get back out on Tuesday. Logan's going to start on Tuesday. Wednesday will be TBA. And then we'll see how Jack comes back, Burke, from the stomach virus or the flu or whatever, food poisoning that he ran into. It is a little virus that's run through our team. Cantrell called in sick today, so he might have it. So we'll just see where that's at. But right now, hopefully Jack can come back and be ready for the weekend. He was throwing very well. Perrin threw very well this week, and then of course Brandon stepped up for us really big. But I thought the key to getting Brandon out of the mound in Game 3 was the hitters being able to pull away in Game 2. That allowed us to skip Brandon and skip Gunner, which allowed both of those guys to be used. One as a starter and one as a closer. So that week's gone. Nothing last week will help us this week, but we want to try to, plow ahead again and continue to try to make up some ground.
And you said nothing last week would help with this week. It was a pretty good offensive week overall for you guys. Being able to add Daniel to that mix where he's been a steady bat for you in the past, how much do you think that can just continue to maybe add momentum for you?
Well, what I think it adds to us is some depth in the lineup. What would hurt us with the injuries and guys going cold early in the year and stuff. Pitchers could kind of weave their way through our lineup. The difference maker now is our lineup has more depth to it. I mean, we've got guys like Spears hitting down in the 7 and 8 hole. Vaillan's down there now, so we're thicker. And now the difference is pitching has to get us off to a good start because you now have the ability to wear down a pitching staff with a thick lineup. When you have 3 guys going good for you, a pitcher gets to rest every half inning. So technically what he's doing in a 9-inning start is he's taking 4 innings off. And that's what was happening with the injuries and guys struggling. Earlier, we couldn't build enough depth in the lineup. And now, if you watch, we were able to beat, Arkansas State in the middle innings, where the hitters are continuing to not let somebody rest. They're also throwing some stress innings. Some of these guys threw 22, 27 pitch innings on us, whereas the Friday night starter threw 8 pitches, 9 pitches, 10 pitches. And so, you know, by having a thicker lineup, I think that can help us during the week because we're going to need it. I mean, Tech swings the bat good, McNeese swings the bat good, and of course South Alabama is going to be South Alabama. So, but I do feel better with the thickness of the lineup. I would start him if I would need to. I just like him in that role. He's just so good at coming out and stopping what's going on, and then eating up innings. It's one thing to run a guy in and clean the inning up and then get him out, but then you got to decide, okay, who else is going to come in now to eat up the innings? And what I like about him is he's an innings eater, and he understands the value of his role. You know, some people look at pitching behind as mop up, but again, that was a winnable game. I mean, what Cox did, that should have led to us winning that game because he could have trimmed one more run off. We walked the guy. We got to get our walks down, but we walked the guy. That guy came around to score. It'd have been a 5-3 game. We made our push. So now, man, you've got 9, 12 at bats left with a team that's swinging the bat pretty good with a 2-run deficit. I mean, we ought to be able to get that, but then we come in and we hang a 5 spot. They hang a 5 spot on us, So that was a disappointing thing right there, is that it made his work irrelevant because when that guy came in, his work wasn't relevant. And so that's what you have to do is not look at stuff as mop up. You got to look at I need my work to be relevant because we got to believe our team's going to make a push. And when they make their push, you want it to be relevant, man. I mean, you give up 5 and you do a 4 push, you wiped your push out. I mean, your push meant nothing, and that's why I do like him in that role, is because he makes our push relevant. Our push was relevant. It went from whatever to 6-3. That's not bad at all with 9 outs to go. But then again, when you let somebody hang a 5 spot on you after that, then now your push is so much harder now with only 9 outs left.
I know you say you always look ahead, you don't look back. But last year, this team was 3-6 to begin with in the Sun Belt and won a division title. Can you take experience from that and say, look where we came from, and look where we ended up?
Well, you can kind of use that. The only thing is every year, every team's different. You can try to show them that there's hope, if you will. On the other hand, last year we didn't have injuries. Some of the guys are not coming back. Toro's, going to still be out a while. You've got, Wendy's not coming back. We just picked Danny back up. But you can use it, I think, just to show them, that, hey, it's been done before. But I think what we need to really concentrate on is pitching consistently, getting our walks down, because our lineup's getting thicker now. I think our hitting system, our philosophy's catching up now, and we got more and more guys in the lineup that are on it now. So now I think what we have to do is we have to give the hitters a chance by getting off to good starts and letting them turn that lineup over enough to where hopefully it can do some damage.
When you guys start off and you guys have a solid starting pitching, what does that do for the team's confidence?
Well, I've always believed this. It's in the pitcher's binders when we meet in the classroom in the fall. I believe the pitcher's the ringleader. I mean, he's the ringleader. I think when that guy goes out there, we don't ask them to win. You can talk to every pitcher on our staff. The number one thing in their binder is we don't care about your draft status. We don't care about if you're going to be all Sun Belt pitcher of the week or the year or whatever the case may be. You got one goal, is when you take the mound, one, you're the most important guy on the field. That's why you're 10 inches higher than everybody else. And then number 2, you set a tempo that people want to play behind, and you give your team a chance to win. That's all their job is. And I don't mind when a guy gets turned around like Perrin did. Never walked the batter. They hit him. I got no problem with that. When you go out there and tiptoe, like a guy running on hot cement barefooted, or on the beach barefooted, you ever see a guy running on hot sand, tiptoeing all over the place? I got really no patience for that. And when you do that, everybody sits on their heels, and when you play on your heels, you get knocked out. I mean, no boxer ever was good boxing on his heels, and I hold the pitchers accountable. They've got to set a good tempo. Like I said, there was a stat I saw a long time ago that when for the Yankees, Roger Clemens on the night he pitched, the Yankees hit more home runs on the night that he pitched, and they claim it's because he adrenalized the team. And if you go back and you look at Gunner's starts through the history here, or Hunter Moody, who left here 31-7, you go back and you look at quality arms. I bet there's not a lot of errors behind them, and because those guys demand you're going to step up and play at a high level because I'm pitching tonight, and that those guys have that ability. And then some guys will get out there and tiptoe, and then they make the whole team tiptoe. And so I hold pitchers accountable for setting the tempo, and I think we set a good tempo. Perrin did, and Brandon did, and because of that, I think that's the difference maker. I don't know if you'll ever win every game. I'm not saying we will, but the tempo setter is the pitchers. And so we got to try to keep setting good tempos. And when you do that, you give your team a chance to win, and that's the number one priority of when a pitcher takes the mound for us. That's his number one goal, is to give us a chance to win.
Spears been a little more consistent than you thought he would be?
Well, no. I mean, we've talked along the way a couple times, about, hey, Coach, how can I maybe get in the lineup type thing and stuff. And I told him, you not a plus defender, so you bat your plus, and so it's got to play if it's going to play. And he's one, I think, that's gotten on the system and been better, and it's taken him a while because he was a little bit of a spin hitter. And spin hitters aren't going to be good in this system. We're recruiting against it now for down the road, guys that can come in and hit in this system. And as a pitch caller for 31 years handling pitchers, the easiest hitters to get out of the spinners. And he's gone. If you looked at the home run, the pinch hit he got that night at Troy, it was right center field. So that showed us that, okay, I'm getting on the system. I'm willing to hunt the green monster. I'm willing to stay inside the ball. And then so that's what put him kind of into the lineup. And since then, his bat's playing. I mean, that's his tool. And so he knows that. We've talked about that. So if he can continue to do what he's doing for us right there, I mean, that's huge. That's what pushed Todd out to left field.
I've seen him swing really hard, and on 2 strikes, he brought singles to right field a couple of times, which kind of I didn't expect to see.
That's the 2-strike approach. So the big thing that you want to try to cut down, man, if you can, is hitters is strikeouts and as pitchers as walks. I mean, those are the 2 things you want to try to cut down. Now, if you a 20 home run guy, I understand you're going to live under the ball more, so you're going to be susceptible to strikeout and you're going to be susceptible to the fly balls. But if you're going to hit 3 home runs and strike out 50 times, I just don't think those numbers jive. And so he's catching on. He's catching on to the approach that we want to hit with, and so he's a guy that's made our lineup thicker, because the toughest thing to get out, the thing that I hate to call against, is like the third baseman at Tulane. Okay, guy's got like 100 at bats and 7 strikeouts with 805 slug. Man, I'm telling you what. You call pitches against that all night. I mean, he doesn't give you wiggle room. You almost got to work around him, try to get the people out in front of him and behind him, because he's not going to strike out. He's not a spinner. So those are the most difficult hitters to get out. I don't care if a guy's got 40 jacks and he's a spinner. He's an easier guy to get out. But it's those guys that don't strike out that have power. So he can be a weapon. I mean, he's got some power. And if he can not just be a spin hitter and strike out a ton, and a lot of his pinch hitting for a while was strikeouts. And once he hit that home run that night, that showed us that he was going to, you can't hunt the green monster any better than that when you hit one over the green monster. So from that got him in the lineup. Now it's his job to continue to stay as consistent as he can, to stay right there. And but it opened up the DH by a lot, being able to go play left field. That's big for us because it gets an extra hitter in the lineup. Well, I think, the one thing about Handsome is he's got his head on right. I mean, he's a great student. He's lining himself up for law school. Handsome's going on to be a lawyer. So he takes school very serious. He's already working to get into law school right now. I wrote a letter of recommendation for him just the other day. So he's got his priorities really set. I thought he's done a great job for his body, handling his body throughout the year. We've had do a lot of work to handle his body, from his arm to his oblique strains, his legs. Ask him to move out to first base for us from time to time to help us get McKinnon in the lineup, and then to go back and catch if we want Danny in the lineup like we did in Game 2. So he's been a real good team player. You sat out all last year. Getting back over the fear of blocking the ball was a big issue for him too, because when guys get injured, no matter where it is, they have to get over that fear, and he had to get over that. So I think he's gone through a lot of qualities, a lot of hardships with the injury, the draft, and all pro ball and all that kind of stuff wrapped up, that I think are gonna aid him when he gets into his personal life of being an attorney, handling 15 pitchers, handling 15 different mentalities and personalities. He's had to do a lot of stuff, and that's going to make him, I think, actually a good attorney. But I thought he's done a great job for us in being able to hang in there. He's had some rough spots, but, he's hung in. He's helped us at first. He helps us bring energy back behind the plate when he catches, and we've just tried to maneuver him to where we wouldn't lose him because of just one swing. One running down the line, you could lose him for the year with an oblique strain. And so we're just fortunate that we've been able, our trainers, Jut and Carrie Nemetal and Locke, have done a good job with him and keeping him healthy to where he could play almost all 56 games. Well, it's Sun Belt Conference play for us. Really, it doesn't matter who we play in, because again, I've said this before. We play against us. Last week we handled us better. I think that's what led to the 4-1 week. I think that's what we have to keep doing. But they come in with pride. They come in with tradition. They've run this conference for a long time, and they believe it's theirs. And they're well coached. Mark and I are personal friends. He was at FIU for a long time as a pitching person, so the pitching world kind of knows each other. The hitting world knows each other, and then from there he got the opportunity to go to South Carolina. He was part of 2 national championships there. So he brings in a lot of, experience in how to win. And and then you got the history of both the teams. Both the teams have been proud teams and have tried to dominate this conference. So they'll be tough. And then we got 2 teams before them that both swing the bat well. Both these guys are hitting over, I think, 275 as a team, Tech and McNeese. So we've got some work cut out for us this week to try to have another 4-1 week. Yeah, I think you know, we'll watch it a little bit. Now anticipating potentially, you know, having that game moved up maybe, or one of the games being a doubleheader. You never know. In how we work the pitchers. The one good thing that, you know, caught us is Savoy's a quick recoverer, which was good because we throw him on Tuesdays so that he can come back and help us out of the pen on Sunday. That's 4 days rest, but 3 days rest, he can recover from 3 days rest. So, and we have other guys that need to do some work, and now having Gunnar as a closer really helps us because now you know what you're doing with those last 6 to 9 outs. Armstrong's been throwing well. You know, it's a couple other guys hopefully can get back, you know, on the wagon for us, and Batty, he's got to throw better, and Harton, you know, if we can get some guys there trying to help out a little bit more, we could thicken up that bullpen. But we'll kind of watch it a little bit better this week, being that it happened to us, you know, this week.
Yeah. What, as a closer, what is the max that you think you get out of Gunnar in a week or a weekend? Can he pitch twice a weekend?
Well, that's what he's working to try to do right now, is to try to maybe do a Friday, Sunday, especially if it's one inning. You know, the other night he threw only 10 pitches. So that's what he's trying to do. It all really goes by him, and he talks to me and Daniel about how he feels. The other day he was prepared to do 6 outs. The score allowed us to trim it and let Armstrong set him up in the 8th. So yeah, it might be now that he threw a Saturday because the Sunday game got moved up. He's got now Sunday, Monday off. He might be able to now do a Tuesday and a Friday, whereas last week he closed on a Wednesday, so he had bypassed Friday. But the game didn't present itself for him to even get in. So yeah, he's trying to work to do one inning, maybe on a Friday and a Sunday.
Does he change his, I don't want to say mentality, but is he throwing harder, knowing he's only going to throw a little?
Well, he doesn't have to save anything, you know. He doesn't have to keep any gas in the tank. But that's the thing about being mentally tough, right? Is that, you know, nobody has asked about, will this be a tough transition for him? Is this being a tough transition for him? Nobody's asked that question yet. Why? Because the dude's mentally tough. I mean, when you're mentally tough, you can go out there and perform at a high level, and that's what Gunnar is. He's mentally tough, and again, I said this before about closers. He's a guy that gets outs. He doesn't protect the score. He's never even pitched that away. He's an out getter, and again, the best pitchers are out getters. They just focus on getting outs. The worst pitchers are the ones that look back at the scoreboard and try to protect the score. Those are the worst closers, man, because as soon as a guy reaches, they start to protect the score instead of getting an out. Gunnar will let you work your way all the way around the bases like he did Wednesday at Southeastern with 2 outs. He's just getting his outs. And so now you're a guy that's just 90 feet away with 2 outs, and Gunnar just looks at it as, I got to get one more out. He doesn't look at it as, man, if I hang this curveball or if this guy gets a hit, they tie the game. That's what bad closers do. They don't get outs. They worry about protecting the score. And one thing about Gunnar is he's an out getter. And so that's why I think he's been able to make this transition, because it's really no different from the way he pitches. That's the way Gunnar pitched. But I do believe he'd probably tell you he can empty the tank a little bit more knowing that he's got one inning.